You know the feeling of guilt that you're still affected of what happened in the past, but you don't want to consider it something as a trauma, because if you try to compare it to other people's past, it is not that bad to an extent that you would call it a trauma. It's like it's hard to put into words of that specific feeling, because it seems like you haven't moved on from what happened, regardless if it's about a friendship or a failed relationship towards your ex partner or your parents or your family members. Because regardless of whatever you do, even if you try to forgive them, even if you try to like be civil with them, you would still have that certain feeling that makes you go back to that situation that you've had before. Like the wound is still fresh, like it just happened seconds ago. It's not like you're trying to think about it. It would just like randomly bump into your head. You would have a random thought about it. You would have like a random dream about it, and by the time that you realize it too much, you would feel that certain feeling that you've felt the time that it was going on. And it's hard to explain it to a lot of people, because one thing that they would think of is that you haven't moved on yet. Well, in fact, you've already moved on to those people or to that person who've done that wrongdoing to you. But the fact that you haven't moved on yet to that certain situation that makes you feel uneasy, makes you feel depressed or sad, is the thing that is hard to put into words. And it's not like you have a control about it, because regardless of what you do, even if you try to take it off of your mind, even if you try to meditate, even if you try to be okay to those people who've done that shitty thing to you, you would still be stuck in there. You would still be affected by the thing that happened. And it's very particular, because you don't want to like invalidate yourself, but at the same time you don't want to sound exaggerated in a way that you would call it a trauma, because there's a lot of things that can be labeled as one. And you would try to think it's not that deep, even if you feel deeply, to the extent that it would still sting, it would still hurt, even if it happened like years ago. It happened to me when I was elementary, and now I'm working. And the fact that it happened a long time, it would still have a great effect on me. And then one scenario would lead to another scenario, and it would just be like a domino effect to a lot of things that happened in the past, that I would associate it from one thing to another, and the list would go on, and I would just cry in the middle of the night or whenever it just bumps into my head. It's not one specific feeling that is hard to explain. And it kind of makes me feel guilty in a way, because I'm supposed to be over it, but somehow some way, whenever it randomly just pops in my head on the randomest feeling or vibe that I'm currently feeling, it would hit the right spot for you to cry, even if sometimes it wouldn't trigger you in a normal moment. You know what I mean? And it's hard to like, I don't know, say out loud, because low key feels dramatic to say it. Though I'm not trying to invalidate myself, but at the same time, I'm trying to be cautious of those people who might hear about it, you know?